streaming equipment and software to see if it works. So while I do that, I am going to record this and do a Praxis Core argumentative essay edit to see if the streaming equipment works and if I am in fact streaming on my Facebook page, YouTube page, and all that. And it doesn't look like I am at the moment. Let me just check really quickly. Nope, it doesn't look like I'm there. And no, oh, it looks like I am live here. Okay, so we'll just keep going, see how it goes. All right, so today I'm going to walk through the Praxis Core argumentative essay. I'm going to edit an essay while we're talking today. This particular essay is really close to being good enough to pass, but it has some tiny mistakes in it that I think many of you are making. And so if we tweak those little mistakes, then maybe we can get you up to that passing score if you're having a hard time doing that. So there are a few things I really like about this essay, and there are a few things that I would change in order to make the essay better. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. We're going to do this in Google Docs here. All right, hopefully you can see my screen and everything is working properly. So we're talking about the argumentative essay. This one comes from my book. This is actually a prompt from my book. And it says, there is a teacher shortage across the country and students are suffering due to the lack of experienced teachers in the classroom. The only way to reduce the teacher shortage is to pay teachers significantly more money than is currently offered. All right, so with the Praxis Core argumentative essay, you're going to get a very strong statement like this. The only way to reduce the teacher shortage is to pay teachers significantly more. Now, do we know that there are probably a lot of other ways in which we can solve the teacher shortage? Sure, it's definitely pay, it's working conditions, it's all kinds of things that I won't get into on this particular video. But for the sake of this essay, so that I can write quickly, coherently, and make something work, I'm just going to agree with this very strong statement and write an essay to it, because I know I could definitely write an essay about the lack of pay for teachers. And I know you guys could probably do that too. All right. So this essay that this person wrote in response to this is pretty good. Oops, sorry about that. Is pretty good. It's the 3-paragraph structure that I talk about. We have the intro paragraph, then we have the details paragraph, and then we have the conclusion paragraph. Now, it's kind of like that sandwich. We've got the bread and then the meat, the inside, the details, and then we have the closing piece of bread. Okay. Now, the other thing that this particular essay has that's really good is that it has this very strong thesis statement that directly supports what's going on in the prompt. We have, I agree that the only way to reduce the teacher shortage is to pay teachers significantly more money than is currently offered. So if I'm grading this essay, I'm one of the test graders, I see this thesis statement. I know that this is the position the writer is taking. It's clear. And when things are clear and easy to see for the grader, it's going to increase your score. So number one, that's the first thing I like about this. The second thing is this details paragraph does support this thesis statement. I'm going to go through that in a minute. But remember, whatever you're writing in your details paragraph, it needs to support and only support what you've put in your thesis statement. So don't go off on a tangent talking about 50 other things. We're talking about the only thing, which is the lack of pay and the fact that if we paid teachers more, they would stay. And the reason they're leaving is because of the lack of pay. All right. So as we go through this, I'm going to actually go through the details paragraph first, because remember in my other videos, and you can check them out on my YouTube channel and all over the place, I always say, write your details paragraph first. So what I would have done if I were in the middle of the test and I read this, I would quickly jot down on my paper all the things related to lack of pay, right? Teachers are overworked. They have to do all this extra stuff. They're not getting paid enough money. They have to stay extra hours. They're going to other places to get better money. Some teachers have to get a second job, right? So these are all things I would put quickly on my paper just to kind of map out what I'm going to say. I'm not going to do that right now because I just want to edit this essay. But if we were doing like a full on, course on this, we would have that separate piece of paper to the side. I would just jot down those quick bullet points as to what I'm going to talk about. All right, we'll talk about the intro in a minute. Let's go straight to the details paragraph here. So I'm going to read it And as I read it, you're going to see how I kind of fumble a little bit because the sentences are a little bit chaotic. We need to clean up the language here a little bit. So it says teachers do not get nearly enough money for the amount of work that is put into the profession. Teachers are run down and exhausted from spending weekends and weeknights preparing to create the best learning environment, yet are not compensated to do so. Now, this sentence here is a little bit jumbled. I know what she's trying to say, but we need to clean up this sentence to make it clear. And then it says a recent study shows 30% of teachers in 2022 left the profession to make more money elsewhere, blah, blah, blah. Now, this sentence is good. I like the specific detail here. A recent study shows that 30% of teachers in 2022 left the profession to make more money. And then it says somewhere else for less amount of work. This is where it gets a little, what are you saying here? Like, I know what you're trying to say. You're saying people are leaving to go to other jobs that pay more, but it's messed up in the language here. So we need to clean that up. And then finally, many occupations pay much higher for the amount of work. Therefore, teachers are seeking employment in places such as retail and childcare. We have some grammatical errors here. This is grammatically incorrect. I'll go over it in a minute. And then we should have a comma here, because you always put a comma before such as, not after such as, but before such as. All right, so let's clean this up slightly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up the language a little bit to make it clearer. And I am also going to add a little bit more specific detail. She does a pretty good job. We've got nights and weekends, weeknights and weekends. And then we have this recent study shows that people are leaving the profession. And then we have retail and childcare here. So there are a few specific details. I might just sort of clean this up and add a couple more nuances to make it stronger. All right, let's start with the top. Teachers do not get nearly enough money for the amount of work that is put into the profession. All you have to say here is teachers are not paid enough for the amount of work they do. That's it. When we start using passive voice, which let me show you what passive voice is. Let me go back. For the amount of work that is put into the profession, that is passive voice. Just say, teachers do not get nearly enough money for the amount of work they do. Who does it? They do it. And this, it's vague. Who put the amount of work into the profession? What's going on? Clearly state it. Teachers do not get paid, do not get paid nearly enough money for the amount of work they do. That's it. Make it simple. Okay. And then we have teachers are run down and exhausted from spending nights and weekends preparing to create the best learning environment, yet are not compensated to do so. Okay, spending nights and weekends or weekends and weeknights here. Okay, that's pretty specific, but what I would do is put a little bit before this and say, because right now I said teachers do not get paid nearly enough for the amount of work they do. Well, what kind of work do they do? Well, we have here the best learning environment, but don't we also have to deal with behaviors, go to IEP meetings, faculty meetings, professional development, communicating with parents, coaching sports? I mean, the list is endless. So let's take some of that list and put it after here to support the amount of work they do. I might say something like, for example, teachers are often required to. Now let's get into it. And we got to keep the list sort of short. And I know we could go on forever here, but let's just keep it to like 3 things, maybe 5. Okay. Required to plan engaging lessons, attend professional development, communicate with parents, coach sports teams. We'll just sports teams. Yeah, we can fix that up in a minute. So we have attend, notice here, attend, communicate, coach, and engage in many after school duties. Okay, so let's read that back. For example, teachers are often required to plan engaging lessons, attend professional development, communicate with parents, coach sports teams, engage in many after-school duties. So I would put and here, and engage in many after-school activities. And then I might say something, for example, teachers are not only required to plan and execute. Let's do deliver. Execute is kind of deliver engaging lessons, which is the core of our job, comma, but they are also required to, and then I get into all this extra stuff. So notice how that sentence helps. We've got for the amount of work they do. So I do this. This is what we're required to do, plan and deliver engaging lessons, but they are also required to attend professional development, communicate with parents, coach sports teams, engage in many after school duties. There we have it. Now, real quick, when you use a not only, you have to have but also. So notice I have teachers are not only required to do this, but they are also required to do that. And I have the comma here because I have they are also required to attend professional development, communicate with parents is a sentence. And then I have teachers are required to plan and deliver engaging lessons. So make sure you do that there. Okay, that looks good. And then this sentence supports it. Now I can say teachers are run down and exhausted from spending weekends and weeknights preparing to create the best learning environment, yet are not compensated to do so. All right, let's clean up this ending part here. I love the rundown and exhaustion from spending nights and weeknights preparing to create the best learning environment, yet are not compensated to do so. What I would just say here, but they are not paid for these extra hours. That's it. It cleans it up and makes it more clear what you're trying to say. Let's read it back again. Teachers are run down and exhausted from spending weekends and weeknights preparing to create the best learning environment, but they are not paid for these extra hours. There you go. And then we have here, a recent study shows 30% of teachers in 2022 left the education profession to make more money elsewhere for less amount of work. Okay, I would just say here, due to the lack of pay. Let's keep it simple. Just say teachers are leaving because of the lack of pay and all of this, okay? It helps to just clean it up a little bit. And then we have here, many occupations pay much higher for the amount of work. Therefore, teachers are seeking employment in places such as retail and childcare. Okay. This right here is grammatically incorrect. If you're going to use this therefore, you need to have a semicolon and then a comma after therefore, because it's the same with however. You have to do the same thing. Although however doesn't work there, we need the therefore. But I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't get all into this. If you're not really good at the semicolon and all this stuff, I wouldn't go here because you're going to mess it up. This is not the time to practice your semicolon skills. So what I would say is, I would say a recent study shows 30% of teachers are leaving the profession due to lack of pay. Many are going to other professions, comma, such as, now you said retail and childcare. Those don't really pay a lot. Other professions I'll do like tech and hospitality, which pay higher salaries for less work. You spell higher. Sorry about that. Higher salaries for less work. Let's see how that works. Okay, let's read this back. Teachers do not get paid nearly enough money for the amount of work they do. For example, teachers are not only required to plan and deliver engaging lessons, but they are also required to attend, here comes our specifics, professional development, communicate with parents, coach sports teams, and engage in many after-school duties. Notice my sentence here is parallel. Attend, coach, engage. Same tense on my verbs. And then I have the thing that they're doing after it, the noun. Attend, the noun. Communicate with parents. coach the noun, engage in the noun. All right, it all works there. Teachers are run down and exhausted from spending nights and weeknights preparing to create the best learning environment, but they are not paid for these extra hours. Here comes another specific. A recent study shows 30% of teachers in 2022 left the education profession due to the lack of pay. Many are going to other professions like tech and hospitality, which pay higher salaries for less work. Boom. We just said the same thing this person was trying to say before, but we just cleaned it up and we kind of shortened our sentences here. Notice that this sentence got a lot shorter, but much clearer. And this sentence got a lot shorter and much clearer. So that helps there. All right. So now that we have our details paragraph here, now let's go up and check out our intro. Now I've already written this. I agree that the only way to reduce the teacher shortage is to pay teachers significantly more money than is currently offered. Now we got to add a little fluff in the beginning because we can't just state our thesis. We kind of got to warm up a little bit. And now that we have written our details, our mind is in the writing. Writing an intro now is going to be a lot easier than when we come in cold and we have to write this like intro. All right, let's see what she wrote here. Many schools are experiencing a teacher shortage due to the lack of experienced teachers. Now, just a quick nitpicky thing here. I have experiencing and experienced. I might want to change this to qualified teachers. So many schools are experiencing a teacher shortage due to the lack of qualified teachers. Now, this is kind of redundant. We've got a teacher shortage due to the lack of qualified teachers leaving the profession at a high rate. Okay, because now it's not as redundant. If we left it the way it was, you just said the same thing over and over again. So we'll just keep it there. Teachers are not paid enough for the work that is required in the profession. All right, let's keep going. Education is highly prominent in the United States, and if teachers are changing careers, students will not thrive. All right, there's a little bit of a problem with this sentence. The word prominent means obvious or kind of like in your face. So what you're saying here, education is highly obvious. That's not the right thing. I think what this person is trying to say is that education is extremely important, or that education is an institution that serves all of the children of the United States, because it's an important institution. So it's not prominent. That's not the right word, and that could get you deducted points on the exam. So let's reword this a little bit. The public education system serves the entire population. We don't need a capital P here. Let me get that. Serves the entire population of the United States. And that should be capitalized. Sorry, guys. The public education system serves the entire population of the United States, and it is imperative that we have qualified teachers in the classroom. Okay, so let's take this out now. All right, let's see. Many schools are experiencing teacher shortage due to qualified teachers. Teachers are not paid enough for the work that is required. The public education system serves the entire population of the United States, and it's imperative that we have qualified teachers in the classroom. I would probably cut this and put it as my beginning sentence because it's strong. The public education system serves the entire population of the United States, and it is imperative that we have qualified teachers in the classroom. Yet, notice I'm going to do a flip on this. I say this is so important. However, we could say however. However is a better word. However, many schools are experiencing a teacher shortage, and I'm going to change this because highly qualified teachers are leaving the profession due to lack of. Okay, let's see how that works. The public education system serves the entire population of the United States, and it is imperative that we have qualified teachers in the classroom. However, many schools are experiencing a teacher shortage because highly qualified teachers are leaving the profession due to lack of pay. Okay, Then we have here, teachers are not paid enough for the work required in the profession. Redundant, taking it out. Now we have this. It is unfair. I like this sentence a lot that she put in here. It is unfair to set expectations for educators and not give them anything in return. I agree that the only way to reduce the teacher shortage is to pay teachers significantly more money than is currently offered. Right now, this is good. I would change, I could probably get in here and be super nitpicky like this. It is unfair to set expectations for educators and not give them anything in return. I might put something here like the demands of the job do not match the compensation. And that supports this beginning part here. The demands of the job do not match the compensation. And then we have, it is unfair to set expectations. That would be like a perfect scenario. But if you didn't get to this, it's okay. It's still strong enough. And then we have our good thesis statement. And then we have our really good details paragraph. All right, now the conclusion, which a lot of people have a problem with, but I really like the way this person did it. So she wrote, the best solution to avoid a teacher shortage is to pay teachers like professionals. This is a great start to a conclusion paragraph because it's a solution. You disagree, right? Up here, you've said that you disagree or that you agree. I'm sorry, you agree that the problem is pay. So we have a problem. Well, here's my solution. Pay them more. Good. Many schools that offer higher compensation have success. Okay, this is the sentence that gets a little crazy. Have success maintaining employees that work hard, are receptive, and have a love for the profession. What she's trying to say here is that schools that pay teachers more retain highly qualified teachers in the classroom. Now, you may not come up with that in your head. I study education, so obviously I have these words in my head, but you might want to say, and we don't want to say many schools because we don't know how many schools. We might just say schools that offer higher compensation have success maintaining happy and productive teachers. That's it. That's what she's trying to say. They're going to be happy. They're going to be productive. They're going to do their job if you pay them more. I mean, it's not rocket science, right, guys? Just pay them more and they'll rise to the occasion. And then it says, there is no excuse for underpaying teachers. I like that. I do believe that as well. And she has, education is the future. Teachers need to be paid what they are deserved. Okay. Education is the future is a bit of a cliche. Delete it. Stay away from cliches. I'm not saying you're going to fail the essay because of it, but good writing does not have cliches in it. So things like the straw that broke the camel's back or the nail in the coffin that's not what we want to do. Education is the future. These are sayings that we want to leave out of our writing. So we have schools that offer higher compensation, have success maintaining happy and productive teachers. There is no excuse for underpaying teachers. Teachers need to be paid what they deserve. Nice, strong way to end it. And right there, that is a passing essay. Notice these are small tweaks. I did clean up the language. I added in here some of these details, professional development, communicating with parents. I also had here, we changed from retail to childcare to tech and hospitality. And I cleaned up the way in which she said these things to make it a little more succinct, a little clearer. We rearranged the intro paragraph. So we had this very strong opening line here, and then everything after it supports it. Notice that when I have a sentence like teachers do not get paid enough, for example, and this is all the things they do that they don't get paid enough, and they're run down and exhausted, and so they are leaving and they're going to other professions. Notice how it all kind of flows and supports the previous section. The same thing with here. I have this big, strong statement, how we need qualified classroom teachers. However, they're leaving because of lack of pay. And that's because the demands of the job don't match the compensation. And this is unfair. Notice it all leads into the next thing. I don't have hodgepodgey things sticking out. And then finally, with the conclusion, I have a solution here. And then just a few things to support it. The conclusion is not going to make or break you. You know, even if I would say, let's say you ran out of time and you had all of this done right here and you didn't even get to this. These 2 paragraphs here might even get you a passing score because they're very strong. The conclusion is kind of some fluff at the end. It is important. Don't skip it if you don't have to, but you don't have to spend 40 minutes on this. Well, you don't have 40 minutes. You only have 30 minutes to write this whole essay. So don't get all crazy about the conclusion. 2, 3 sentences is fine. This is really where the rubber meets the road, is the details paragraph. And of course, your thesis statement. This is where the majority of the grade comes from, because in the rubric it says specific details that support your position. And that's what's happening here. All right. All right. So hopefully you all could see my screen and you could view what I'm doing here. Again, I'm testing out some equipment and we'll see if it works. But that is how you would edit, or that's how I would edit an essay. Listen, please don't send me your essays. A lot of people say, oh, here's my essay. Can you have a look at it? I get hundreds of requests a week to look over essays. I just don't have enough time to do that. So I will continue to do these editing sessions. If you guys like them, let me know in the comments and I'll do more of these editing sessions. But I don't provide a service to edit your essay for you. What I recommend that you do is read your essays back to yourself. And if they sound a little bit weird or you have a hard time reading them, there's something wrong with the sentence structure and you've got to fix that up. Okay. So definitely practice this, work on those writing prompts, set the timer, make sure you can do it in 30 minutes or less, 30 minutes or fewer, I should say, 30 minutes or fewer. And make sure that you are tweaking those sentences, making sure they're supporting one another. You've got those specific details. You've got good organization and all of that. And notice that this essay that I just did on the screen, it was really close, but just a few tweaks fixed it to make it, even better and definitely a passing score. All right. All right. I hope that helps today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see if this actually got recorded. And if it did, great.